Hi, my name is Awilda Jimenez, and I'm the Virtual Content Specialist Teacher from PS386 in the Bronx. I've created this student-facing video in partnership with Maria Friedland from the Division of Multilingual Learners. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Social Studies. Thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to continue with our independent practice portion of the Grade 4, Unit 4, Day 1 lesson entitled Articles of Confederation. Our focus question is, what were the challenges of creating a new nation? And our lesson objective is to explore the Articles of Confederation in order to infer why these articles were effective for 13 separate colonies and ineffective for one United States. Now, as a reminder, remember that you can refer to your Passport to Social Studies workbook pages 3 through 5. You have the tool rewordify.com where you can copy and paste information from the slides and rewordify the text so that you can get an understanding of the information that's on the slide. And also remember that you have, when you go on a slide, you have the extension Read Aloud, a text-to-speech.
Introduction model. Listen to and read the song from the musical Hamilton. The song is...
So anytime you need to pause or rewind this video to listen to something one more time, feel free to do that. Feel free to pause. You have access to the slides on Google Classroom. Feel free to pause the video and use either rewordify.com or the Google Chrome extension to help you understand some of the content that we're looking at today. So during the introduction, you notice that King George was giving a warning to America, right? These United States, the 13 colonies who are now independent or free from his rule. Now, some of you might think, he sounds like a sore loser, or he sounds like someone who's bitter or angry that he lost all his power and control over these 13 colonies. And that's why he's warning the United States that this is not going to go well for them. And they're going to wish that they had never made this decision to become independent. And others of you might be thinking, I wonder if there's something to what he's saying. I wonder if his warning is going to come true, or some of it, right? Maybe the United States won't want to go back to being under British rule, but they may end up struggling before they reach the freedom that they want. So before our independent work, I want us to take a few seconds to look back at this timeline of events. This is from a timeline from Unit 3, Lessons 16 and 17. It's important to reflect on all the events that helped us get to where we are, right? So remember that the colonists were against taxes, right? It wasn't fair for them to pay taxes to the King of England so that he could use the money to pay for things that didn't benefit the colonists, right? The intolerable acts, all of the unjust laws that King George placed on the colonists, and how British soldiers had to, live in colonist homes, and colonists had to make sure that they were living comfortably. And colonists had to pay for the British soldiers' living expenses. All the tea parties that happened in Boston, Philadelphia, New York, and Princeton, and how King George lost a lot of money because of that, because of these events that were a symbol of protests. The Sons of Liberty, the Liberty Poles, like all these things help us understand the Articles of Confederation, meaning because I know all these things happen, I think I have an idea of what the colonies are going to agree on. What promises are they going to make to each other? So for independent practice, you're going to choose one of 3 slides. And you are going to read the articles listed on the slides and think about these questions and take notes on these questions. 1, what is the central idea of each article? Summarize what is the main idea of each article. 2, why do you think the leaders of the 13 colonies created these articles as rules and laws to live by? And 3, once 13 separate colonies became one United States, why were these articles ineffective? Meaning, once the colonies became one entire country, what problems do these articles now cause? Or why would these articles need to be changed or revised now that we're all one country? Okay, and you can take notes here on your Google slide. You can take notes on your Google slide, or you always have the option of using Flipgrid or using Quicktime to record an audio of the answers to these questions here. Okay, so those are your choices. So watch, we're gonna do one together, and then we're gonna do articles 1 through 3 together, and then you can choose from this slide, articles 4 through 6, 7 through 9, 10, or 10 through 13. Choose one slide to do your independent work on. All right, let's get started. Okay, so Article 1. The name of the combined 13 states is the United States of America. Okay, so they all just have one name now. State governments still have their own powers that are not listed in the Articles of Confederation. Okay, so the states that we used to know as colonies have extra powers that are not written down on this document of the Articles of Confederation. Okay. Article 3, the Confederacy is a league of friendship. So they are all in this friendship club, right, among the states. The combined states are responsible for helping to protect each other from attacks. To protect from attacks. Okay, so that makes me think that the Confederacy, they all make a promise to each other to protect each other from attacks. Maybe because of King George's warning here, they're thinking we might get attacked again. Even though during Evacuation Day, we got rid of the British soldiers, that doesn't mean they can't come back. So maybe that's why this happened. All right, so let's think, right? Article 1. The central idea of this article, right? The 13 colonies are now the United States of America. Now, states known as the United States. Okay, oops. Okay. Why do you think the leaders of the 13 colonies created these articles as rules and laws to live by? So if I'm thinking about all of these articles, right? I'm thinking Article 2 especially, I'm thinking, Part of the problem here that led to the American Revolution was that colonies didn't have the power or the rights that they needed to live freely and um, make the money that they wanted to and use taxes to help, um, you know, their colonists or make laws, right? The king made all the decisions. So because that happened, I'm thinking Article 2 is saying that we want to make sure the colonies have the power that they didn't have before. Okay. And then here, the League of Friendship. I think it was important for all of the states to make a promise to each other that if any of us get attacked, we're going to protect each other, right? And again, I'm thinking that they are worried about the warning from King George, right? Maybe they're thinking the British might come back to attack us, or maybe someone else from a different country might come and attack us. Either way, they want to be ready, right? So here I might say the leaders created these articles to make sure states had the power they did not have when they were under British rule. They are also worried about King George's warning. So they want to make sure that if there is ever another attack, each state will promise to protect the other states. Okay? Right, so this would be Article 2, Article 3. Okay? Once 13 separate colonies became one United States, why were these articles ineffective? Okay, so let's think. Let's look at Article 2. States have powers that are not listed or written in the Articles of Confederation. What problem could that cause? Well, I'm thinking if each state has powers that the other ones don't know about, like how much power does one state actually have? Like, how do you know that one state doesn't have too much power versus or in comparison to the other state? And how do we know what those powers are if they're not written anywhere? How do we make sure that all states have equal amounts of power, right? Because again, we don't want to repeat the same mistake from King George, right? The colonists did not like that one country had all the power over the 13 colonies. I don't think that we want one state to have more power than the other 12, right? So those are some big questions that have to be answered. Okay, so I'm going over here, right? Article 2 is ineffective because we don't know what powers states have. How do we keep power fair between states? We don't want one state to have more power than the other 12. That's a big deal, right? So let's think about Article 3. I want you guys to think about Article 3. A league of friendship among the states. The combined states are responsible for helping to protect each other from attacks. What would be the problem? What problems could arise now that we're all one country? What are you thinking? Jot your thoughts about Article 3 on your slide. Right? So maybe, what if the states decide to attack each other? I know it seems almost impossible, right? Because we're in this league, we're friends now. But sometimes friends don't get along, right? So what happens when there's a disagreement between one state and the other? What if they decide to battle each other? How are the other states going to choose who to protect? Or what if a state says, you know what? This is not our fight. We don't want to help protect another state from an attack if we don't agree with why they're fighting. What do they do then? Right? All things to consider. Right? So notice how we read, right? First we read one article. We thought, what is the central idea of this article, right? What's the main idea of the article? We jotted our response on our Google Classroom slide, excuse me. We will do the same for each article. Then we thought about all the articles on the slide, right? And we thought, why did the leaders create these articles as rules or laws to live by? And we jotted our response here. And then finally, we thought about, once the 13 separate colonies became one United States, what would be the problem with these articles? Why were these articles ineffective or not working? Right? So in this part here, we're thinking about, actually in both of these parts, we're thinking about some information from the introduction, King George's warning, plus everything that we know all the events that led to the American Revolution, to help us think about why these articles were created and help us predict what challenges might come up for the United States in the future. Right? So just pick. So you can pick from this slide. You can choose this slide to work on, this slide, or this slide. But you have to read and think about all of the articles on each of the slides. And then finally, in our check for understanding, I want you guys to form an opinion, right? It says, imagine that it is 1787. You have been independent from Britain for 4 years, but you have been living under the rules and laws of the Articles of Confederation for 6 years, and they are not working out very well. You have been invited to represent New York State at a convention to change these rules and laws, right? How would you change them? What parts of the Articles of Confederation would you want to keep or get rid of, and why? Right, so use these sentence starters here to help you think about your response. Okay, friends, so remember, you can jot your notes on the Google slide or use Quicktime or Flipgrid to record your answers. And you could do the same for your check for understanding. And I also encourage you to visit the class Padlet so you can see other students' other groups' responses and summaries of the different Articles of Confederation. Right? Thank you for coming to Social Studies. I'll see you next time.